Devon.
Hey, what?
This truck looks pretty sick.
Classic Oregon truck.
I like that wheel tire combo.
Let's go. Maybe we should let these people know what we did to this thing.
We're going to give you guys the rundown. So the customer wanted a total of 6 inches of lift. We were looking to fit a 35, 37 inch tire in here. So what we did is we included our 2-inch Super Duty leaf spring swap shackle reversal, and to get to a total of 6 inches of lift, we added a 4-inch progressive RevTech lift spring.
Besides all that wonderful suspension stuff that Erik just talked about, this truck has 240K on it, and not a lot of stuff have been maintained. So we kind of upgraded the rotors to a cross-drilled. We went with a premium caliper, brake pads. We did, besides those items, we did ball joints. We also did axle U-joints while we were there, just to kind of clean it all up and get it back to where it should be.
With 6 inches of lift and greater, we like to install crossover steering and crossover Panhard kits. Crossover steering takes care of a lot of drivability issues we see with lifted trucks. One of them being, when your drag link is hooked to your tie rod and you've got an angle from a lifted truck, your tie rod actually rolls as your steering box is moving, trying to steer your tires. That equates to a dead spot in your steering. The truck will wander on the road. Being able to put the drag link up here on the knuckle with the machined steering arm really tightens the steering up and keeps your angle closer to factory. We run factory pitman arms up to 8 inches of lift, so it takes the stress off your steering box from having a drop pitman arm. The crossover Panhard kit is designed to match the angle of the drag link and as long as you can have it so that you don't have any bump steer. This is the front hanger that comes in our 2-inch Super Duty leaf spring swap shackle reversals. This 5/8 hole is already in here from where your OE shackle sat. We use this 5/8 bolt to pivot the hanger before setting these other 1/2-inch bolts. We pivot the hanger to gain the correct length for the spring we're using, because where this hanger is pivoted affects your shackle angle as well as where the tire sits in the fender well. We set these shackles up kicked back slightly. We're expecting them to settle about here once we put some more miles on the truck. It's critical to have your shackle kicked rearward so the suspension can compress and extend freely. With 3 inches of lift and greater, we install our steel braided plastic coated brake lines. With quality steering components and matched suspension geometry, we do not plan on installing a steering stabilizer. Even with 37s, when everything's tight and working the way it should, there's no need for a steering stabilizer on an application like this. What you can see here is our driver's side crossover Panhard kit frame bracket. The frame bracket mounts behind the OEM upper shock mount. We also have dual upper shock mounts you can put in there instead if you'd like to run dual shocks. If that's something you're looking at doing, we run the dual shocks on the outside and make a spacer in between so you don't pinch the ears in. Notice the drag link angle. It's not very steep, it's nice and flat. We're still running a stock pitman arm on this truck. Everything's happy, pretty excited to go drive it and take it for a run. Our 4-inch 08 to 16 Super Duty rear leaf spring swap kit. We chose a 4-inch kit so we could still retain the factory block and not have to add any more block in the rear. We added a Bilstein 5100 to match the front. Also, the reason we like the 08 to 16 rear springs is because they ride a ton better than earlier versions from what came from 85 to almost 07. So the reason these springs ride so well is because they're 8 inches longer from the center pin forward. They're about 2 inches longer from the center pin rearward. That helps the spring not be so biased and allows it to flex more.
So because the customer was after such a soft ride for this truck, we went with the soft spring like Erik said. But then he wants to tow with it, so we use an airbag system to help out with towing. While we were in this area, we thought we'd pull the brakes apart and inspect them. We found all kinds of stuff. The e-brake cable was kind of bound up. The hardware to retain the brake shoes was all old and rusty and wasn't even doing its job. We eliminated all that, ditched it, went with a riveted shoe, does a way better job of braking, updated hardware, got everything lubed up where it should be. Everyone complains about these trucks not braking good. A lot of it is that they're not adjusted properly, or the hardware is old, or the shoe lining is wrong, or there's several things that people need to look at. We love clean and simple. Here you go. So one thing you'll notice on the rear of this vehicle, we swap out the factory steel diff cover and do a nice aluminum fin diff cover. Kind of helps out when towing, keeps the fluid a little cooler. We also switch out the factory brake line, do an extended steel braided line from Skies. Does an awesome job for us.
All right, guys, I'm Kenny with OBS Solutions. Devon asked me to come up with a wheel tire combo for this truck for Gabe. What we decided on was a Method 17x9, model's called Standard. Wrapped it in 37 by 1250 BFG KM3s. This truck's a workhorse. Gabe uses it for towing, hunting, and everyday driving. He wanted something that's going to be reliable and perform on or off-road, and this is definitely the setup to do that.